Let's talk about fruit and seeds in the Bible. Hi, everyone. This is your favorite Bible nerd, R.A. Sweeney. Welcome to Language of Life for Little Learners. Today, I want to dive into two kind of related words that they often get used close to each other. Here, as we're going through the first chapter of Genesis, they're introduced together, and they're definitely not the same thing, but they kind of fit in a similar category. So I thought we would look at both of them together. So the two words that I want to look at are fruit and seed. So we'll do fruit first. The Hebrew word for fruit is peri. And so if you want to say it with me, peri means fruit. And then moving over to seed, we have zera is the Hebrew word for seed. So if you want to say it with me, zera means seed. So the story introduces seed first, but I really kind of want to start with the idea of fruit first. So like I said, it's the word peri, and it gets used in a whole bunch of different ways throughout the Bible, just like we would use the word fruit in terms of like the thing that a plant will grow, such as, like apples or berries or grapes or whatever other fruit that you can think of, like the fruits that we eat. That's the word that we're dealing with here. But just like in English, we also see that fruit can be like the produce of something that you're doing. So like the fruit of my labors is a common way of, it's a common phrase in English that I can say like, hey, I've been working at this and either I haven't seen any benefit come from it or I'm just starting to see, and I want to kind of highlight like this is what came from all the work that I put in. So I'd say that's the fruit of my labors. And that applies as well for the Hebrew word peri, as well as it translates into the New Testament. So for me, what comes to mind with fruit is when we get into Galatians chapter 5, and it talks about the fruit of the Spirit. And it lists out several things there that are the fruit of the Spirit. And obviously, it's not the Hebrew word peri because it is in Greek at that point, but it's the exact same word that the Greek Old Testament uses to translate peri, and that's karpon. So karpon is the Greek word for peri in Hebrew or fruit in English. And so it's the same word all the way across. So we can see that the thing that the Spirit produces in my life is also called fruit. And so we've got kind of exactly how we'd use it in English. It's the same how we'd use it in Hebrew and how the Bible uses it in Greek. And then moving back to the seed is what's inside the fruit. So that's why I wanted to go with fruit first, because you're kind of focusing on the actual whole thing, and then there's the seed inside that as well. But then it also often is like grain seed and things like that. So again, it's very, very similar to the way that we use the word seed in English. Interestingly, the word seed, zera, actually comes from zara, which is a verb for like scattering seeds. So if I'm going out and I'm planting things, if I'm going to be like throwing out seed for planting or whatever the case may be, that is the word that is that seed comes from. So you've got like scattering seed is the root, and then the thing that is being scattered is zera. That's the seed. And again, it's used in the same ways that we'd use this in English. So we're talking about grains, we're talking about seeds that you'd find in fruit, all of those things. But it's also used to describe offspring, which isn't completely out of the norm for English, but it's not the most common way that we talk about offspring in English. So like children are the seed of their parents is how the Bible often describes it. In a couple chapters, when we get to Genesis chapter 3, it talks about there's going to be the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. The children of Abraham throughout the Old Testament are the seed of Abraham. So it can refer to the offspring, or like the lineages that follow from people can also be seed. And like we talked about last week, I mentioned that the plants were kind of like the add-on thing to day 3, because day 3 was all about making a space for land creatures, and then it's putting plants there. And then in day 6, you see that land creatures are made, and then there's that add-on of people. And I think when we're looking at kind of the way that that the trees and the people are working together, and the fact that the offspring of children are also called seed, I think we're meant to see that humans, like trees, have young. I don't want to say kids, because you wouldn't call a trees, new shoots kids. I don't know exactly how you'd want to phrase it to fit both, but so the trees produce seeds that grow into new trees. Humans also produce little humans that will grow up to be adults. And so I think we're meant to see there's kind of a connection between the two, that humans, like trees, reproduce, and through that reproduction, they're able to carry on the lineage, which ironically is also described with this word seed there. So altogether, it really kind of... I feel like it all just kind of fits a lot like we would have in English, with a little bit of nuance, but it's also meant to be drawing those two passages together, the day 3 passage and the day 6 passage. So if you want to recap the vocab with me one more time, if you remember, fruit is the word peri, so we'll say it together. Peri means fruit. And then for seed, we're dealing with the word zera, so say it with me. Zera means seed. And those are the 2 words that I wanted to bring together today, and we'll see how they get used a little bit more as we get into some more vocabulary in the future, but for now, that's kind of where I wanted to leave it. If you're enjoying this series, make sure that you subscribe so that you get the videos every week, or the podcasts every week. Be sharing these with anybody that you think might enjoy these. If you like these, please click the like button so other people are able to find them a little bit easier. But for now, I am very, very grateful that you guys are here. Grateful that you're coming along this journey with me to explore some of the vocab of the Bible. I hope it's a blessing for you. It's been a blessing for me. So thank you so much for being a part of this. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.